It's 8:30 Eastern Time, the only time zone still making pennies. That means it's time for C2C Live, brought to you by campus2canton.com. That's Matt Bruening. I'm Austin Nace. On an invested version of tonight's show, we're buying and selling future NFL draft stock, the playoff bracket that we want to see, and is private equity a good thing for college football? All that and more on the other side of the stinger. C2C's Live right now. Thanks for tuning in with us here on this lovely Wednesday night. If you're here with us live on the YouTube channel, if you're not, if you're listening to us on the podcast feed, thanks for tuning in there. While you're listening, watching, whatever, drop a like, subscribe, a rate and review. You know, whatever works with whatever you are. Go ahead and do that for us, and head on over to campus2canton.com while we are all here as well. Matthew, we no Chris tonight. I guess we'll just the elephant in the room. No Chris tonight. But he has assured us that he all is well and he'll be back next week. So we're going to start off tonight's show talking private equity, which is something that I didn't really think that we would ever be discussing on this show, but here we are. We're going to pretend to do our best to be private equity experts. I have read a few articles on this, and then actually Chris had added some notes that he found as well, just for us to kind of touch on. For those that aren't aware, I think if you're pretty into college football, if you listen to us, you probably have heard about this, that the Big Ten was approached by what's being called in the media and stuff as private equity to basically give them a cash infusion up front here. And then, you know, basically they just got to pay it back over the next like 20 years or something like that. It's kind of gaining news because a bunch of the schools, well, a couple of schools are saying they're not going to vote for it. They think that it's basically taking a bunch of money up front that they're going to have to pay back later, that nobody's going to be able to pay back later. And it's going to doom a lot of the athletic departments in the Big Ten. To just touch on some of the finer details here. The vote's going to be here in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a $2.4 billion deal, and it's with actually the California Pension Fund. So it's not technically like private equity. It's not like, you know, BlackRock or something coming in here and giving them a bunch of cash and then, you know, taking a percentage of the athletic departments or anything like that. But what they're basically going to do is spin off all of the athletic departments essentially into this entity called Big Ten Enterprises. It's going to house all the media rights and all the sponsorship deals. It's going to extend the conference grant of rights an additional 10 years, which I think they're supposed to be up in like 2036, and that would push it back another decade. If they don't agree to this deal, schools may lose. Like if not everybody agrees, some schools might get it, some schools might not. There's still a debate as to what that's going to look like exactly. But if some schools don't vote for it, the conference is essentially threatening that they might lose their spot in the conference moving forward. So, and it's really interesting. I think one of the big hangups for some of the schools is that the money is not going to be evenly distributed. For instance, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State could be earning like upwards of $200 million, not quite there, but that's kind of the rumored amount. And schools like USC, Oregon would be receiving a lot less, like 40 to 50 million. So, and then, you know, some of the schools kind of in the middle, you know, 100-ish million. So it's going to be a pretty broad range of money injected in. We probably botched the crap out of that. We're not economists. We're not investors. We don't know anything about any of this stuff.
Yeah.
But it kind of seems like the way that college football is moving right now. I mean, this is bad for college football, right?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, yes, on the side of like the private equity coming in, and I think it was Cover 3 that talked about this. It wasn't like, I know they talked about some of the stuff with it recently, but it's probably a month or so ago when like the first rumor started popping up about like what that could mean about private equity coming into the conference and doing all these other things. I mean, obviously I can understand it from like a school's perspective in trying to get more money, especially when you're looking at NIL stuff. There's obviously all the stuff right now talking about, I believe it's UCLA trying to get out of the Rose Bowl and possibly going to SoFi Stadium as their home stadium. They could use this money to get out of that. Not that I mean, I don't know that would really help them that much, but I don't think this is going to happen. I mean, and again, you mentioned, I think the biggest thing that is really going to hurt college football in the essence of, I think if the money was being divided equally, I would be a little bit more for it. But the fact that you're talking about the top teams in the Big Ten who already are making most of the money. I mean, I don't know that Penn State's making as much as maybe Michigan and Ohio State are. I assume it's pretty far up there. They've been one of the top programs in the Big Ten for at least the past decade. And Oregon, I don't think really has to necessarily worry about money, but schools like USC, UCLA, Rutgers, schools like that, I mean, could get a pretty decent, I want to say advantage, but a help in making their programs better and taking a big boost in money. If it was, let's just say you call it an even 200 million to every school in the Big Ten, I do think that it would obviously help some of the schools. Again, I'm sure there are a lot of drawbacks that I fully don't understand. I mean, you said, we are not economists. I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of stuff that went over my head in this, but I think from that side of things, like the money side of things with NIL and the programs, I think could help. But yes, on the overall thing, I think it is bad for college football.
I think not only is it bad for college football, I think it's I just think it's inevitable at this point. So we can hem and haw about this here, but I mean, at the end of the day, that I don't think that we're going to move further away from this rather than closer to this, even if this particular deal doesn't end up going through. I think there's a couple of problems here that I think could end up really coming back to bite the Big Ten in the butt. And this is where they really have to be careful, because the Big Ten has really positioned themselves in that 1A, 1B with the SEC, whatever order you want to rank those two. And there's very clearly the top two conferences, and everybody else is kind of trailing pretty far behind. They're giving away a 10% stake of future, media rights and sponsorships. The problem is that it's a 10% over a 21-year period. And they're due for a big new TV deal in 2030. So by giving away 10% of the next 21 years without even knowing, I mean, I'm sure they've done due diligence as to what they think that deal might look like. But 5 years from now, that's a lot of time. A lot of things can change in the next few years in terms of that valuation of whatever that deal is going to end up being. I just think it's really risky to be giving away so much up front without that good of an idea. I mean, look how much things have changed over the past 5 years, and go 5 years into the future and take a look at that. That is the part that I think, if I'm an athletic director, I know why Iowa would do it, for instance, or, Rutgers, or, some of these middle tier schools that maybe aren't bringing in the yearly money and, all that kind of stuff. But it does feel like a Band-Aid over something that has at least I was going to say a higher likelihood than not that it ends up hurting them. That feels a little high of odds, but there's a pretty good chance that it ends up coming back to bite them in the butt for money up front. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me from that perspective. I think there's got to be some other angles they can be playing here.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking at the short term versus the long term, not just for the conference, but for your schools, right? I mean, you just mentioned the deal with that and how much college football can change. Let's go back. What has it been now? Maybe 8-9 years, maybe close to 10 years, when the ACC made the deal that they made for and it completely different, not private equity, but the TV rights deal, and everybody talking about this is one of the best deals we've seen in forever. And then a couple years later, the SEC, Big Ten have blown that out of the water. The ACC are stuck kind of in their TV contract where everybody else is passing them by. And because they signed such a long-term deal with everything, again, because it was, I don't want to say it was a short-sighted move. I don't remember who the commissioner was at the time that made it. I'm sure at the time it was a groundbreaking thing. But as you just mentioned, I mean, college football is probably going to look, I don't want to say 100% different in even just 2 years, because there's already, again, talks about expanding the playoffs. And we've heard talks about, the players getting paid more. What will it be like? I mean, the conversation about them being employees has gone on for a couple years, even before this. But there's so much up in the air right now with college football, and there's so much that I think can happen that I don't disagree with you. If you make kind of that short-term move, what does that look? Oh my God, I can't talk. What does that look like for you in the future?
Yeah, I just think it's going to be kind of interesting to watch, especially because I think some of the articles that I read were even saying that some of these schools already kind of have debt they're paying down. So essentially, like, are they going to pay off this debt now to have more debt in the future? It's going to be a very interesting discussion to see over the next. Like I said, if this one falls through, I'm sure this isn't going to be the last one. I actually don't think it makes a lot of sense for the Big Ten to do it. It would make more sense for me if the ACC wanted to do it or something, and kind of use it to lock in Florida State and whatever, Miami or whatever other schools they wanted to kind of lock in and be like, look, we've got this cash infusion coming in, you can take it, but then we extend the grant of rights for 15 more years or something like that. That scenario makes more sense to me than the Big Ten doing it. But everybody's greedy now. The coaches are all greedy. Coaches take a little bit of a pay cut. Put some of that money into the rest of the athletic department. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. All right. That's enough about financial stuff. I think we fumbled through that about as well as we could, Matthew. So job well done.
I'm glad we only spent like a roughly 10 minutes on it. I'm not sure how much more I could have given to that conversation.
To everybody still listening after these first 10 minutes, thank you for waiting through that with us. Let us know what you think. Matt, you went through like a ton of like the mock draft database and all that and pulled out the values on where a lot of players are going in 2026 NFL mock drafts.
Yes.
With the exercise to be, do we believe that the draft stock that's currently being mocked for some of these guys is actually going to happen? Removing whether we think it should or not, kind of trying to remove that bias. We can certainly.
We are removing our bias.
We can certainly have that discussion on some of these players, but that's not the exercise.
Top one on the list. Top one on the list.
I'm sure you're all in on this. Ty Simpson is right now being mocked as a top 10 pick, kind of consensus. We'll say this is the consensus right now.
Yeah.
Are you buying that?
It's so hard to say. If I'm approaching this I will say no. I'm going to sell it. I do think Ty Simpson goes in the first round. I don't think he's going to be a top 10 pick. I personally don't think he has shown enough to be a top 10 pick. We'll obviously talk a little bit more about what we think of Alabama this year when we talk about our top 25. And we, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, we'll be discussing our playoff bracket. Spoiler alert, we do have Alabama going fairly high or fairly far into the playoffs here for this year. I think even if he takes Alabama and wins the national championship, that's probably the way he locks in a top 10 pick. I just don't think that he's there. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this almost as like a Kenny Pickett year where there's like one quarterback. I don't think Ty Simpson falls that far to like 22s. I think that's where Pickett went. Is that correct? I know Pittsburgh was further back in the round.
It was
20. 20s.
Yeah.
I don't think Simpson falls that far back. I find it very hard to believe he goes as a top 10 pick.
The tough part when you think about this, and obviously this is going to change over the next 2 months or whatever, but there's a lot of teams in the top 10 picking this year that need a QB, and that's not always the case. And maybe the Saints maybe think that they have something with Tyler Shuck and they don't do something, and they figure if we're bad again the following year, maybe that's the venture we take. The Browns have 2 first-round picks, including one in the top 5 as of today. So I mean, and they need a quarterback. So is that a team that would just say, like, F it, we'll take a shot on one of these guys? Because
that would be my karma of them taking Ty Simpson at 4.
I hope that you have to watch Ty Simpson for the next decade, and he won't
be a Browns fan anymore. That's what the Browns do. That's what the Browns do. We take just okay quarterbacks. The one time we actually hit on a quarterback in Baker Mayfield, we decided he wasn't good enough and got rid of him. And now look at what's going on.
Not great. The Jets need a QB at 5. The Raiders, maybe. Geno Smith has not been good this year, and they definitely don't have anything behind him. The Dolphins, the Tua money is the Tua money. I mean, do you just decide that's a lost cause? Fired your GM, new guy coming in. What's that look like? The Cardinals, we'll see what happens with Kyler. It doesn't sound like that relationship is great right now. I mean, there's a bunch of teams picking up here early that probably need a QB. So that probably and will probably. I mean, I can't imagine the Browns or the Saints or the Jets or who the Raiders are going to go on a huge win streak here. I mean, I guess they could, but kind of doubt it. So I'm going to buy it.
Okay.
Just because I think there's so many teams up there. that need one. And it's not like there's a lot of other, at least it seems like today, kind of those premium early guys. What are you doing?
Oh, whoops. My bad. It was the wrong answer. My bad.
Oh, wrong answer. There's not like a lot of like elite offensive tackles, it seems like, in this draft, or elite corners, or like even like elite wide receiver prospects. It seems like those guys that would go early, there's not a lot of those guys to balance it out. So I think he goes there out of just that. I wouldn't do it personally.
Thank you for admitting that second part, but yeah, it's possible. Like you said,
I've never been a Ty Simpson like round one guy, really. I mean, I just thought he was going to be really, really good this year for Alabama, and I think he more or less.
I get confused, Sometimes the company chat gets a little excited about the love for Ty Simpson, so I just
like shoving it back down your throat every week.
I just drown out the noise,
Jeremiah Love projected to be a top 15 pick. Somewhere in that range. We'll say that with this type, Jeremiah Love have a floor of pick 15 by yourself.
Man, I want to sell that too. It's like, when's the last time we saw a running back go that high? Was it Barkley? Because Hall was toward the back end.
No,
Bijan. No, Gibbs wasn't top 10, top 15, was he?
I'm pretty sure he wasn't he? Wasn't he like 12?
Maybe he was 12. I thought he was further back. I thought he was closer to 20. I forgot about Bijan. Yeah, Bijan was whatever to the Falcons. I just don't think Jeremiah Love's on that level, though.
Yeah, he was 12th overall. By the way.
12th, okay.
Gibbs.
I guess I'll buy it because, I do think he will test fairly well. He's obviously having an amazing season. Had an amazing season last year too, and I think if he keeps running the way he has, with as kind of what happened with Mendoza last week, I think if Ty Simpson Simpson will definitely be there. Who's the one I'm thinking of? Simpson. Mendoza will probably be there too, but
beware. What are we talking about?
Heisman. Sorry. I was trying to think of who the Pavia. That's what I was trying to think of. I was trying to remember who the quarterbacks were that we were talking about a couple weeks ago being in the Heisman. I think with the way he's played, he's probably fallen out of the quote unquote Heisman race. So I think Love might be able to sneak in with the way he's been running as of late. So I think if he tests well, I think he'll probably go top 15. I don't know. I still think he's very boomer bust at times, but I think he's probably going to be a top 15 pick.
I have been very staunch in this. I still very much believe it. He is worse than Jahmyr Gibbs.
No, I don't disagree.
But Jahmyr Gibbs and other similar running backs have kind of provided the blueprint for what you should be doing with some of these running backs who may not be the prototypical between the tackles kind of guy without also relegating them to just being a scat back. They've kind of provided the blueprint for how to use some of these guys. I think the NFL is a copycat league. I think some team will take him there. I think it might be just from a value perspective, very foolish to do that. I would not there's not a running back this year that I would take in the first round personally. But I think any listeners to any of our shows know that I'm very anti first round NFL running back. So very, very, very. I mean, how's it going this year for the Raiders? Not Ashton Genty hasn't made a bit of a difference for them. Jordan Tyson, top 15 pick by yourself.
I think so. I'll buy that. Yeah. I mean, I think obviously the injury history is going to hurt him some, but again, when he's on the field, he's just dynamic for what they use, with the way that Arizona State uses him. I think he's going to test incredibly well. I think we talked about this recently. I think that he'll probably be the number one wide receiver off the board. I think him and Mekhi Lemon will probably be the top two. But I do think when I was looking at the list of wide receivers here, I'm just going to give some of the names here: Denzel Boston, Carnell Tate, Chris Brazzell, Chris Bell, Kevin Concepcion, Casey Concepcion, Elijah Surratt. I kind of think there's a drop off after those two. Maybe with the way it might sound a little bit biased. With the way Tate's been playing this year, he might have kind of forced himself up into that third wide receiver spot in this draft class.
I think definitely. Yeah.
I still think Mekhi Lemon and Tyson are better all around wide receivers than Tate is. I think there's a tad bit of a drop off after those two. So yes, I would push to say I think Tyson is a pretty easy top 10 pick this year. Now I think there was two of the ones that I looked at had him one had him. I want to say it was like top 6, and one had him in the top 10, but the others had him like outside that. So I kind of tried to average it to top 15. I would even buy on top 10 if we were talking Jordan Tyson.
Yeah, I would buy top 10 too. And I don't know. I'm real stingy again on like top 10 NFL draft pick wide receivers. Like I think you got to be just like a no doubt stud of stud type prospect. I don't think Tyson's quite in that category, but I do think he's really good. I would take him top half of a draft. I think top 15 is pretty much a lock for him, unless he somehow gets injured or something during the process. I think that's a pretty much a lock at this point for sure. Same for Mekhi Lemon. Also, right around top 15 pick for him.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine once Tyson goes off the board, wherever that's at, Mekhi Lemon's going to go very quickly after. I think, those are definitely the top 2 wide receivers in this class for me. I think both. I know it's top 15 is what we have. I would say top 10 for both, and I would still buy that.
I would put Tate in there with them. I think they're a very clear top 3 at this, just based on what we've seen this year. I think Tate's done much better winning deep this year and much better after the catch, which were kind of the 2 areas coming into the year. I was like, he really hasn't done. He's been just straight up poor with the ball in his hands, and he hasn't gone deep a ton. I think he's been better on both of those fronts, despite Sayan's best efforts to underthrow him every chance he gets as he's going downfield. But it's okay. Chris Brazzell, top 20 pick.
I don't know. I'll sell. I think if he goes in the first round, I'd be toward the back end. Where did Xavier Worthy go last year? He was like one of the last picks of the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, he was late. Well, Chiefs traded up, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Because that was the whole thing. Like the Bills traded out of that pick, and the Bills fans were all mad because they gave that player to the Chiefs, and they could have used him. And yeah.
Yeah, I'll say in full transparency on Brazzell, I've not gone in and really watched him. I've watched a bunch of Tennessee games live, but never actually gone in or have not had a chance so far this season to go in and really look at what he's doing. Obviously, he's having a very good year. There's a lot. Every mock database that I went into, and I'm sure Mike Valerie's gone into even more, had them all in the first round, a lot of them very high. So, I mean, a lot of these people, I would say, for the most part, know what they're talking about. I think he's probably back in, so I would say sell. I'd say outside the top 20.
I would sell as well. I don't think he's going to go top 20. And it's going to be really interesting because it's how the NFL operates. Unless these guys just crush the pre-draft process and crush the rest of the season, I don't know that the NFL cares about size to that degree at the wide receiver position right now.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's only going to be one, like there's only room for one kind of, tall, big, borderline first round wide receiver to go in the first round. It could be him, could be Boston. I think I prefer Boston. Brazzell certainly maybe has more upside, just good, but maybe. I mean, he broke out earlier. He's had some good seasons, but Lenore Sellers, I don't think he comes out. So I don't even this is it says top 20. I don't think he comes out. So that would just be my assessment on that.
If he does come out, I am going to buy. I do think that he will test incredibly well in the process. And again, I don't think he's been as bad. I know they're 3-6, I think, on the season right now. 3-7. What's up?
They're that bad, their record?
I think so. They play someone good this week, because I was thinking about putting that. I put, as for the behind the scenes stuff, I was putting together our morning show, our Saturday morning show, the tailgate show sheet, and trying to pick the games that we're going to talk about. And I saw that. I was like, oh, they're playing a decent team, a ranked team this week. And I was like, oh, nope, I don't think that's a game worth picking. Yeah, they're not been good. But I think overall, if you watch Sellers, I don't think he's actually been that bad overall as a player. He's got no offensive line. He's got people like me out there blocking for him. I mean, the dude's running for his life as soon as the ball is given to him, and he's still making NFL throws. He's still running around. He was beat up a little bit at the beginning of the season. I don't disagree with you. I think he comes back. I'm very torn on whether or not I think he should. I don't, I think we talked about this with Chris K probably 3 or 4 episodes ago when he brought up, the Anthony Richardson stuff. And you said, maybe not the person's career you should try to follow in the way that Anthony Richardson did it, talking about hey, if he would maybe go work out with a different group, something like that. But if he goes around the reasoning that Richardson gave, and like, if all I need is like this improvement or coaching, like I can get that better in the NFL, I don't disagree, because like this, I don't know that he transfers out of South Carolina. I actually think him going back to South Carolina is going to hurt him even more. So I just don't see how this team improves that much going into next year. And I don't know that he'll actually transfer out as a kid who grew up didn't he grow up like 10 minutes away from campus?
It's close. I don't know. I don't know.
Yes. I mean, that's one of those things where like it's really hard for players like that when you love to school your entire life to just kind of go somewhere else, especially when you're already playing there and then transfer out. So I don't know that him coming back to college would help him. I think that at this point, if he's not going to transfer to a school, as much as I hate this for like a Houston Longstreet, like if Maava were to leave and like he were to go to work to like with a Lincoln Riley, or if, well, saying can't leave, can he? No, he can't yet. I want to say if he goes to like a Ryan Day, or, I mean, God, like I'm going to get Collins pants all tight. If he follows Eli Drink, if he goes to Penn State with the drink there, if he ends up going to Penn State to try and revive the Nittany Lions program, something crazy like that. Like if he doesn't go to some offensive coach that I think can get the best out of him and build an offense around him, I think he should go to the NFL. And I do believe that he's still a very good player and will test well. So I would buy top 20.
Lenore Sellers at Florida with Jed Fish next year is going to slap.
His
fatal flaw is that he's too loyal. Yeah. He needs, it's funny because we all say all the time, like, guys need to be more loyal. Like,
it's a good
this is
thing,
like an instance where they're just killing him right now. Like, you've got to go somewhere. You've given this 2 years now. I mean, unless they just slam dunk their OC hire, but based on the track record of Shane Beamer, I'm betting that's probably not going to happen. So
can we dive into that really quick? Can we stop with the Jed Fish leaving Washington stuff?
Why? You don't think it's going to happen?
I love DeMond Williams, and I don't because he ain't following him to Florida. There's no way they're going to get rid of Lagway, and then especially if this scenario were to happen and Sellers go, I love DeMond.
I mean, I don't think they're actively going to get rid of Lagway. It could just be a scenario where Lagway's like, this isn't my guy.
But would I mean? I guess you could follow him again. He followed him from Arizona, so maybe. But I don't know that. I mean, I'd love DeMond in the SEC. The new, better on and off the field Johnny Manziel. Wanted to clarify the off the field as well. Better
good.
Off the field.
I was about to start just searching. DeMond Williams cocaine. DeMond Williams,
very supposedly a very, very humble and great kid from everything I've heard. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I guess. Because I know you guys talked about on Campus Life, and I was what's that Arthur meme? I was balling my fist up as you guys were talking about Jed Fish going to Florida. It's like, because I also like Washington. I don't know. There's a team that they got a little piece of my heart. I like the Huskies. I want them to do well.
I'm cool with the Huskies. Their fans I could do completely without, but
at this point I could do without all college football fan bases because we're all irrational. Because I am also a college football fan, but
they're such a pick me fan base. Like, what about my team? You didn't mention my player. They're like the worst at that.
I mean, look, come on. They're up in like the northern part of the country that nobody pays attention to because by the time most of their games come on, everybody on the East and Central time are going to bed. I guess they need a run. They need a playoff run in the next couple of years to bring it back to Washington.
Fernando Mendoza, top 20 pick. It's interesting that the database has Simpson as like a potential hire because I think if there's any guy that's gonna I think Mendoza, NFL teams would prefer Mendoza. More starting experience. He's bigger. Probably he's a better runner. He's not like a runner, but he's better at it than Simpson. Probably a slightly better arm. I don't think Mendoza's arm is a cannon by any stretch, but I think it's probably better than Simpson's, Simpson's is kind of average. I mean, there's a lot of the stuff that you would look for. I don't know.
I'll buy it. I think if we're saying Simpson's going to go, I did not say top 10, but if I think we talked about this, it might have been off air, it might have been toward the end of the show where I was like, has there ever been an NFL draft where a quarterback did not get drafted in the first round? I believe you said no. And I don't know that trend gets bucked this year with, again, all the teams you mentioned needing a quarterback. I don't disagree with you. While I think, neither one of these quarterbacks screams like sexy, the fan base is going to be super thrilled when you draft either one of them. I think if you were to pick one, or I were to pick one, I would take Fernando Mendoza over Ty Simpson for everything that he does. Because I know you mentioned it. I think might have been on Campus Life about Mendoza not really facing a lot of pressure so far this season, so we don't really know. I think it's probably just outside that Penn State game where he was not good, but everybody was kind of celebrating him for the throw to Omar. Was
throw.
Omar Manning right? It was
Omar
a great
Cooper.
throw. Omar Cooper, sorry. It was a great throw. I mean, again, he had the guy in his face was getting hit. Perfect throw. Also a very perfect catch. But, like, that doesn't negate the other 59
He crapped his pants for 59 minutes in that game. And then we're going to try to give him credit for that. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's be a little more serious about this.
I'll be curious, but I will also say, like, for the most part, same thing with Simpson. I think was it Georgia? There was a game early on the Alabama play. Yeah, it was a Georgia game where I do think Simpson actually looks really good with pressure in his face. I was like, okay, like I might be wrong on my Ty Simpson's not that good thing. That was fairly early on. I still stand staunchly that he's not, what people think. But I do think that Mendoza will probably be preferred. I think, again, it just depends on what the playoffs look like and how everything goes. So I'll buy. I think that he goes top 20, even though I don't think he should. I want to clarify. I don't think him or Simpson should. If I was an NFL GM, I would not draft a quarterback in the first round this year.
Unless I have the mandate that, like, you have to take a quarterback. I wouldn't take a quarterback this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Kenyon Sadiq, top 25.
I think so. Yeah, he's got to be the number one tight end off the board. As long as he's healthy, I think. I mean, I don't know exactly why, because he traveled with the team, right, and everything. He just didn't play. So
yeah, I don't think it's anything that's like real serious. He's been a little banged up. He got injured at the end of the Penn State game, I think, and I think he's kind of been dealing with it since then. I remember he made that catch along the sideline or whatever, like late in that game. I don't think it was overtime. I think it was right before. It was in the fourth quarter. And kind of came up gimpy, and then he's been battling some stuff since then. So he just hasn't really been healthy since that, I think.
Yeah, I think he's a great tight end. I think he's the number one in the class. So I'd take him top 25 pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing tight ends go that early, so I don't think that's crazy. Denzel Boston, first round.
Yeah, I think so. I like we just talked about earlier with the top three, if you want to put Cardinal Tate in that category with them, I do think there's a little bit of a separation, but this is where you kind of need guys like Mike Valerie on the show because he could just like pop the stat off right off the top of his head. I want to say it's like on average, it's like 4.5. When we do like draft props about wide receivers going in the first round, it's usually right around that 4 or 5 mark. I don't think that changes this year. And I think Boston's a first round level talent. He's been, I think, a reason Washington has been as good as they have been, even on the throws that Damon Williams may have not been making the best throws. Boston's kind of done his best Carnell Tate impression in saving his quarterback, like Tate has for saying. So I know he got hurt last week, but then came back in the game, if I remember. Yeah, so sounds like he'll be healthy for the rest of the season. Yeah, I think he's a top 30 pick for sure.
It's gonna be tough because, like I said, I think I don't know that I would see him and Brazel going in the first round. I think it's going to be one or the other. So
I think if you had to pick one, I would pick Boston. Would you pick Boston or would you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Boston may not have like the ceiling, but I just have a pretty good feeling he'll be a good NFL wide receiver for a while.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me. Nussmeier, second round. He has to come out.
I know. God, this is so tough. Because I do think the talent is there, and I really do think it's because of the injury that he has played this bad. The problem for me is I also don't think I've seen a ton of improvement on the processing and bad throws that we saw last year. And that worries me a little bit, and something that I know we've talked about on this show, and the fact that his dad is a quarterback coach at the NFL level. He's a guy who's been around the game, studied the game for a long time, yet he's still making those mistakes. Worries me a little bit. I think he's going to kill it on the whiteboard and in interviews. And if he can come out and because they'll do injury reports and everything, we may not like get that news until closer to the draft, but they'll test him, whether it's at the combine or I wonder if he'll end up going to Mobile for the Senior Bowl. I don't think it would hurt him if he'll
get an invite. I wonder if he like goes or not. Because I think they said now that they're not letting guys come if they're not healthy, right? Unless maybe and not do anything.
If they're not going to do anything,
going, you have to do stuff. But I also could see him being a guy where they're like, we know you're hurt, just come anyway. Like,
so
kind of it's not like you're fine, you're just not going to do anything. Like,
I'll buy because of the fact that we just talked about how many NFL teams need quarterbacks, and I would say that if we we are going to say that we think Lenora Sellers goes back to school, and you're talking about those three.
Because Dante Moore probably goes back to school too. I know that report.
Moore's already announced that he said. I think. Yeah.
He hasn't announced himself.
Oh, he didn't.
Like in front of a microphone.
I saw Felix retweet something about him saying he's coming back to school, and I remember him saying like that's a smart decision or something like that. So, I would say, man, it's so tough because like Mendoza's been so good this year, and I know if I say I would have Nussmeier over over Simpson, that would just be people will lose their minds. Yeah, I'll say I'll buy it second round. It probably happens.
I would probably buy second round as well. I think we'll see quite a few QBs go day 2 this year. Well, I mean, it depends who goes back because Dramatier is the next one on the list. I think he also goes back to school. I actually think there's less than 5%. He can't come out based on what he's done the past 4 games.
Yeah, if we were talking about him like 5-6 weeks ago, I think it would be an easy. I would buy first round based on the hype that he was getting and everything. But yes, right now I agree with you. I do not. I don't think he's coming out. So and I don't think second round. And do you want to? I would Martin.
Does Nussmeier have an elite trader tools at QB? He's got an elite arm.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, we've got him at 57 mile per hour. That's very good.
Yeah.
So his pre-snap stuff is also actually awesome as well. Like he's been asked to do a lot. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, again, in that part, I think that he thrives. It's the after the ball is snapped that I think sometimes he struggles with stuff. But I mean, yeah, I would say I agree with you. He's got an elite arm talent. And I think that's why he trusts his arm the way that he does at times when he probably shouldn't. And I think that's part of the issue. But again, when you've got such a great arm, I get it in a way.
Yeah. And can't really use it this year because of the oblique and lower body injuries, unfortunately. Mateer feels like that guy to me that would get mocked in the first round all offseason and then goes in like the 4th.
Yeah.
He absolutely feels like that guy to me. His tape this year has not been good from what I've watched.
No. It's going to be the people who go in. Well, see, I don't even know if they'll go in and look at the stats and probably mock him in the first round now because he's just not been good.
He's just he's fun out there because he runs around and he does a lot of weird sidearm stuff and it's real cool and he can work outside of structure. But he's legit been terrible, like going through reads and stuff this year, just like missing stuff wide open all over the place, missing throws that he should be making, bad decisions. I mean, just he can run though. I mean, I will give him that. Yeah. He's a lot of fun doing that kind of stuff. Chris Bell. Top half of the second round, at least.
I think so. I think with looking at the rest of the wide receivers on here, there's like one that I think I might choose over him. Maybe 2. I take that back. There's 2.
And who are the 2? There's at least 4 I would take over him in terms of if I think it's realistic or not. I don't know. But there's still 4 wide receivers that we have here that I would take over him.
The top 2 in the 3rd round, I would take over him fairly comfortably. I'll just say Jeremy Bernard and Antonio Williams. I don't know who.
I would take Singleton over him too.
I think it's close. I'd probably prefer Chris Bell. Who is your
bigger? Bernard Williams and Singleton and Casey.
Oh, sorry, I would not take Casey Concepcion. But
I would absolutely take him over Chris Bell. Like
I would not.
Just absolute slam dunk. I feel so much. I feel so good that he's going to be a much better NFL player.
I mean, that's fair. I'm not the biggest Concepcion fan, so
he's been awesome this year. I was not a big fan of him coming into this year. He's been very, very good. I think kind of like Tate. Like we thought he was kind of one thing, and he's been two or three others this year. I mean, I think he's been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, look, Chris Bell's an incredible athlete, and with what he has done this year, granted, some of that I think is probably Jeff Brom's. We've seen Brom get like the best out of these wide receivers, and not all of them have been drafted highly. I think Rondale Moore was probably the highest, and I think more just size and
drafted guy. Yeah,
size and injury have hurt him more than anything else. But Bell is having a great season with Louisville. With again, I would argue probably the worst quarterback out of all the guys we just talked about. Who's Singleton got? No, Singleton's is bad. But outside of Singleton, I guess I would say that's pretty. Singleton's definitely had the worst.
Yeah, he's had the worst.
Daniels and Arnold. Then I would say Willer Moss is the second worst. And then you can put what? Klubnik would probably be third with how good
I think
Reed's been
Klubnik,
this
then
year.
Reed, then Simpson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I wasn't even putting the Bernard in there. Bernard's fairly clearly the top guy for me out of all those guys, so I wasn't even going to throw him in that group. But, yeah, I still think, with the athlete that Chris Bell is and how good he's been this year, I think he's going to test really well. I think he's a very good wide receiver. So, yeah, I would take him. I think so. I would buy the top second round.
I would probably buy that too. I wouldn't do it, but I think some NFL team's going to get suckered there. I mean, when do we not learn this lesson on these dudes that
Never.
is literally one thing that he can do? Be big, be fast, run slants and crossers and stuff. Like he can't get himself open consistently.
DK Metcalf, Grant, I'm not trying to say Chris Bell's DK Metcalf.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
it works. You just got to hope that it works for you too, I guess.
What's that's the numerator. What's the denominator we're talking about here? Who else is in there? Xavier Legette.
Legette did have what? Legette's had like one really, really massive game this year, right?
He had a really big game this year.
Yeah. Panthers took him first round, right?
26 games or whatever. Not great.
I don't disagree, but
Yeah. Arch Manning, he's not going to come out. I don't want to talk about him.
Yeah, that's fine.
Jaden Mayava, second round if he comes out. He's one that I don't have a good feeling on whether he actually comes out or not. I see why he might, but because this is like his third year of getting starting experience. But I was watching, I think, their game either this weekend or the past weekend, and the announcer said, and they're like, it's the first year that he's actually been like the starting QB from day one for a whole season. And I was like, I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with Mayava. I don't think he'll go second round if he does come out. So I will sell that. I'll be very curious to see what happens with him because, and maybe this is just the Houston Longstreet bias in me because I do love that kid. Does Lincoln Riley just kind of be like, give him the Miller Moss treatment? She's like, hey, it's been fun having you here, but I think we're going to go in a different direction. Or the Kyle McCord treatment at Ohio State, like, you'll have to compete for the job. We're not going to give it to you. Maybe he moves on. Especially again, I'm not that he's necessarily been the reason they've lost games, but he also hasn't necessarily helped much in some of those games that they've lost, specifically
Illinois.
I think they actually won that game a couple weeks ago, but he played very bad in it. I would not be surprised.
Both QB, the weather was just like trash. I mean, he was bad.
Sure,
but if he's a serious NFL draft prospect, he probably should have been a little better.
Yeah. So I would not be surprised if Riley maybe tries to make the move to Longstreet. So I think he probably comes back. I think he could use one more, but if he does come to the NFL, I'm going to go ahead and sell that. I don't think he's a second round talent right now. Not saying he can't get there.
I don't think the NFL will take him there either. His wide receiver, Jacoby Lane, second round.
I think so. I mean, Lane's been fine. I would not put him in the first round conversation.
No,
I've not been the biggest Lane fan. He also has got I can't wait. I hope. Is he a senior?
No, he's same. He came in same class as Lemon.
Oh, that's right. I was hoping he'd go to they do invite underclassmen now. Maybe he'll go to the Senior Bowl. If so,
I can't see them being interested in Jacoby Lane with the other wide receivers in this class. I mean, right off the bat, they're going to invite Tyson, Brazel, like they're seniors, Boston, Bell, Surratt, Bernard, Antonio Williams, I would think, are all getting invites.
Yeah, but will all of them go? Williams probably will. I think Bernard will need to. Brazel
obviously,
might
if guys are injured. I mean, we don't know who says no behind the scenes. They never release that, but I would imagine most of those guys. Tyson might not go. He might just say, I'm kind of beat up after the season. I think all those guys are going to get invited.
I just love him interviewing. That's it. I love he's such a big man with I just don't the voice I don't think matches the
Jacoby Lane.
Yeah. Did you not see that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The interview he gave at the end of last year. So yeah, no, I would say he's probably probably back in second round pick. So I'll buy it.
I feel real good. He's a day 2 guy. I don't have a good feel on if that means he's going to go second round or not, but he does, 1.5 things really well.
Yeah.
There's room for that. Surratt second round.
I think so. I'll buy it. I would say what you just said about Jacoby Lane. I feel the same thing about Surratt. So I don't know that second round, or if he's third, I think he's a day 2 guy. So I'm sure I'll buy back into the second round somewhere.
I would not do it. I wouldn't take him on day 2 personally, but
okay.
I think he is a day 2 guy. Jonah Coleman second round, I would sell that.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think the pre-draft process is gonna be terribly kind to him.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think you could go day 3 or not day 3. Sorry, round 3.
I do too.
Some team will take a chance on it, but yeah, I don't think round 2. I would sell it.
Yeah, I mean, is he a better prospect than like Caleb Johnson last year, who went in the third? I would say probably not.
I can't remember. I guess not. I think it's probably close, but I guess lean Caleb Johnson. It's very what have you done for me lately kind of,
Oh, Johnson's a bum, man. I want us to go get Breece Hall in free agency so bad. He's such a bum. It's really funny because I have a good buddy of mine and we talk Steelers draft like all year round. And going into the draft, he really wanted Caleb Johnson in the second, and I really wanted Derek Harmon in the first. And we were we both got our guys. Like those are the two that we really, really wanted. And Harmon's been awesome, and Johnson is not. It's like, all right, you better call a better player for us next year.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bernard, Antonio Williams.
Yeah,
Eric
I mean,
Singleton, all third round.
I would buy, and I think there's, we just talked about it. I would take Jeremy Bernard and Antonio Williams over Chris Bell and Kevin Concepcion. So I would definitely buy that. I think both those guys could sneak into the second round, actually. So yeah, I will buy
that. Williams is going to test awesome. So I think that's very, very much going to help him. I don't know how Bernard's going to test. I do not think he's a bad athlete. I just, when he get into underwear Olympics mode, is he meddling, to complete the metaphor? I don't know. So maybe not there. It might hurt him a little bit. Cade Klubnik in the third round?
No, sell.
He's not going to get picked before the fifth round.
I don't think so. No, I really don't. I just don't,
I mean, Dylan Gabriel got a Make-A-Wish thing going on this year, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that to you again.
No, it's okay. The Browns will be the ones that do it. The Browns will take Ty Simpson with the pick number 4, and then they'll take Cade Klubnik in the third round just to be like, well, we got to let them battle it out to see who's going to be our starting quarterback in 2020.
I don't know that I can remember a worse. I've probably seen some. Like, he is just there. Like, you watch him and you're like, I don't even know what the vision is here.
Yeah,
he's small. He's not athletic compared to the NFL guys, and his arm is crap. It's just like, okay.
I mean, I wish I had an answer for you. When that pick happened, I about just lost my, what. I was just like, this is ridiculous. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the NFL is going to be like interested in Klubnik. I just don't think there's much that's translatable there to like a high level. I'm just going to cherry pick a couple of names out here. Yeah. Jadarian Price in the fourth.
I think so. I think there's a chance he could go third. He's a decent.
He is
a decent athlete, right?
He's not bad.
I mean, he's having a very good year too. I think he's got fairly good vision. I would buy. Yeah, I think there's a chance he sneaks into the third. That's a 49ers pick if I've ever seen one. Just drafting him right at the end of the third round.
So Price, just full disclosure, is a guy that we don't have like a ton of data points on. But the stuff that we do have for him, 53rd percentile speed, 76th percentile acceleration, and then some of like the other stuff that factors in size is at least average. He's multi-sport, checks that box. Like some of that stuff he looks pretty good in. So he's got some NFL guys in his direct athleticism comps as well. So yeah, for sure. Drew Aller, fourth round.
Sell.
I buy it. I wouldn't do it, but I would start thinking about Drew Aller in the fourth round if I'm an NFL team. Yes,
he probably will because he's got the ridiculous arm talent. And we just talked about Gary Nussmeyer's. What do we have Aller at? Isn't it like 59, 60? I mean, I know
I don't think it's 60. I mean, I could be wrong. Oh, it is 60. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm about to say it's pretty up there.
0.006 agility. That's like 0.6. It's not even a full percent agility score.
Insane because he was comped so much to Josh Allen by other recruiting services and everything, which he's not a.
We said that at the time that didn't make sense. He was not that level of a runner. But
yeah. I mean, he can move a little bit. Yeah, he's not a Josh Allen type runner, but yeah, he's I think with the tools I honestly could see a team taking him in the third. We saw Malik Willis and Desmond Ritter go in the third. So, like, I would not be surprised if Drew Allar. What?
Was Ritter a third? I thought he was a second round guy.
No, he's a third rounder.
Third round? Okay.
Yeah, him and Malik Willis, they both went in the third round.
Okay, I was thinking he was a second round guy.
Yeah, so, like, I'll buy it on that and think he could possibly even sneak into the third round. I don't know. I don't know what to do with Drew. Maybe the Anthony Richardson quote of, get better coaching in the NFL will truly help him out. Because I've said for a long time, I think James Franklin held him back a lot. So maybe it'll help him.
Certainly could. All right. It's enough of that. We've got some other guys, and we can check in on that later as we approach the NFL draft. You want to do top 25 or kind of play off what we think would happen?
Well, we probably should do the top 25 first. I really want to just really quick, because we were talking about the K Klubnik thing, another moment where Matt Bruening was 100% right after y'all were all over him as this massive CFF asset last year. We got to talk about our flag plans at some point in time. The season is wrapping up.
Okay. I don't remember who I picked.
Interesting. I do. I have it right in front of me. Very interesting choices by both of us. So,
okay, we won't discuss it. Who did we have? Just to check in.
Just discuss it.
We'll check in.
So I don't think yours is 100% right. No, I'm saying I don't think yours. I think I missed one of yours because we also did a freshman, and I think your quarterback was actually your freshman, but I wrote it down as your quarterback, so I'll have to go back and watch the show. We had Bryce Baker as your quarterback, Dylan Jones, wide receiver Jonte Cook, and then tight end Carter Nelson.
Yeah, none of those panned out too well for me. Cook was pretty good.
Jonte Cook's been really good. I started him weekly. Cook's been good. Would you like to hear mine?
Yeah.
Quarterback CJ Carr. Wait, hang on. Let me. Where's Felix at? Where's my boy Felix? Why's that so it doesn't keep repeating? Oh, wait a minute. Running back Cam Cook.
Martin says Austin definitely flag planted JoJo Trader. I can tell you I absolutely did not flag plant.
Colin probably did.
I'm getting a sweet shirt out of JoJo Trader.
Yeah.
So.
Colin probably did. I don't know if this is necessarily a win, but wide receiver Eric McAllister.
Yeah, he did good after his first 2 weeks. Yeah.
This is probably the worst of all of them. Tight end Jack Andrews.
Yeah, he's been poopy.
Yeah. So pretty good year. 2 years in a row. Been nailing my flag plans.
Look at you.
Anyways, all right. Let's do it. Our top 25.
All right, top 25. Oh, Matt's already on it. Our top 25 for the week here at C2C Live. I don't think there's a lot of controversial stuff in here, although certainly we can discuss. And I will say that I think I didn't rank Virginia. I have to pull up the sheet.
You did. We all did.
Okay.
Actually. But very low.
I know that I seriously debated not having them in my rankings.
As did I.
So, but here's our group: Ohio State, Indiana, A&M. Chalky. Did you consider putting A&M above Indiana? Did you put A&M above it?
I did not. I just didn't see the point in that. I mean, again, I get A&M's big win. Well, I guess you could say it was a big win last week. But they have also, in my opinion, not looked as good as Indiana has all season long. Like, Indiana's had one tough game, which was last week against why is the name of the school? Penn State.
And by tough, you mean like one where they just, didn't perform.
Yeah, didn't play where they usually do. Yeah, I mean, because even in the Oregon game, like, again, I know it was a close game, but I feel like Indiana controlled that game for the most part, was not expecting it. A&M has had some shaky games, and then they should have probably lost to Notre Dame. Who was the other one earlier this year that they barely got away with? So, like, I did not.
By a field goal. They beat Auburn by less than a touchdown. Like, I don't think we have to pretend like Texas A&M's been perfect this year, which is what it seems like. Everyone's got some real selective remembering on that because of Indiana.
Well, again, it's just the SEC. It just means more. Whenever you get those big tough wins against teams you should probably beat fairly well. And again, I get it. You could argue the same thing with Indiana and Penn State. Penn State has not been a good team this year, but again, Indiana's had one close game this year and has dominated pretty much every other game. So,
yeah, I had Indiana above them. I didn't really consider A&M above them either.
No,
but I do think
I don't think I moved any of mine. The only one I moved, I'm sorry, I dropped Ole Miss one spot behind Oregon. I did have Ole Miss ranked ahead of Oregon up until this week, and I dropped them down to the 8th spot.
Yeah, just a real
It's the
quick
only
read
one
out
that
the rest, and then we can kind of dive into some more of these here after those top three. Bama at 4, I think that's extremely chalky as well. Then Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Texas, Utah, Oklahoma, Georgia Tech, BYU, Vanderbilt, Miami, USC, Michigan, Cincy, Louisville, USF, Pitt, Virginia, Tennessee, JMU.
Yeah.
I think one of the interesting ones, the placement of Ole Miss versus Oregon. You and I actually were both in lockstep on this. We had them just the spot above, and Kay had them the spot below. I was actually interested just to hear his reasoning on that. I think Oregon, when they're healthy, is a better team, I guess, than you just discuss, how long are all these receivers out, DeCorian, Sadiq, Gary Bryant, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what's the Indiana game? Obviously, tough loss. Ole Miss lost to Georgia. Now they were in that game, I think, more than Oregon was against Indiana. But I think a lot of the arguments I've heard recently about Oregon supposedly not being a good team with the way they've played at certain times. I mean, outside of, I guess, the Iowa game, which I guess is fair, they did not play great against Iowa. Very good defense. Like most of those games, it's been bad weather. And then Dante Moore got knocked or not knocked out, but got hurt recently as well. So I still think Oregon is overall the better team. So I'm going to keep them ranked above them.
Some other interesting ones here. I guess Utah ahead of Oklahoma is interesting. I actually had Utah ahead of Oklahoma. Maybe on a neutral field, Oklahoma would be favored. I just don't know, what's Oklahoma's best win this year? Do they have one?
I don't think so.
Really. They get Alabama this week, right? So
yeah.
There's a chance for one there, but they lost to Ole Miss. They beat Tennessee. I guess that's okay. I don't know that Tennessee is amazing. They beat a Michigan team that I think is a little worse than we expected. And the score of that game wasn't as close as the 24-13, but it also wasn't it wasn't like the most amazing showing I've seen. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if you were to go based on the rankings, you would say Michigan is their best win, and I don't know what that really says about them. I don't think. It's a good win. I don't think it's as good as Well, I guess you could argue the same thing about Utah, though. I would have said earlier before, Sam Leavitt ended up getting hurt. The win for Utah over Arizona State was a big win because they decimated Arizona State as a 42-10 win. But they weren't really in the game against Texas Tech. And then, I guess the Cincinnati win. They did beat Cincinnati pretty handedly. So that would probably be their best win right now, which is on par, I think, with Michigan. So,
yeah, not too dissimilar there. Let's see any other ones here. I dropped Georgia Tech further than anybody. Welcome to the show, boys. I don't think they're long for this. I think they lose at least one more game, and not. I think they lose to Pitt. And I think they lose to Georgia.
It's possible.
I didn't want to crush BYU too much for that game, but they looked like crap.
Yeah,
they were terrible. So I think I saw that they ran 9 plays in Texas Tech's side of the field in Texas Tech territory, and Texas Tech ran 44.
Yeah,
it was. They held them to some field goals there on a bunch of drives because that game could have been close to 30-0 at halftime. It was pretty comprehensive. Any other thoughts on this group? I don't know that we need to get too crazy on anything else here. I did distinctly consider dropping Virginia and Tennessee out of my top. I didn't do it, and I am the only person that ranked Iowa. I ranked them 24.
I probably should have ranked Iowa. I was debating I dropped Louisville out. You two kept them in. I dropped Louisville out of the top 25 for me. I don't think that they've been particularly good. I understand they only have the 2 losses, but they should not have lost this weekend. Thought about JMU. Virginia as well.
Did you rank JMU? It was a couple months ago, but
exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I think at this point, beating a team doesn't matter anymore. What's the line? We have enough data points that it doesn't matter as much.
It matters if it doesn't make a huge complex chain that has to unfurl after it. And to this one, it's just they beat JMU.
Yeah.
You know,
I think with the way JMU has played since then and the way Louisville has been kind of up and down. I mean, realistically, what's holding Louisville up that they beat a bad Miami team? Like, that's it. I mean, outside of sure, I guess they have the 7 wins, but I don't think that their schedule is necessarily that great either. And they really kind of got jumped up the rankings when they quote unquote upset Miami, because Miami was probably top 4 or 5 at that point that they played them. And again, Miami just is what they are. I think they're always and will be. I know Chris Moxley doesn't love it. I kept saying this on the tailgate this past weekend. They're fraudulent, and we saw that again this year. They're always going to be fraudulent with Mario Cristobal as a head coach. So, yeah, I mean, that's really it. I mean, I ranked North Texas. Neither one of you two did. I think that they have been really impressive since the beating they took from USF. I don't
know how you can rank them after that game. That to me, like just getting absolutely smacked by the only good team that they've played in the past 2 months. I mean, I can't in good conscience rank them over some of these teams.
How do we rank? Well, I guess you didn't. I'll say, how is it that we ranked Tennessee? How is it that we ranked Virginia?
I ranked Tennessee 25. I mean, they barely were hanging in there. Yeah.
They're my 24. Yeah, they barely hung in there for me as well. But
yeah, I put Iowa above Tennessee. I did. I would have ranked Iowa. Did Chris have any teams that he ranked? I don't think so.
Let's see here. It does not look like
I don't think so. No. So, and I'm the only one that didn't rank JMU.
Yeah.
I don't know that I guess I would probably rank them over North Texas. I wouldn't feel that great about it though.
I'm a G5 guy, you know.
Would did you rank JMU over North Texas? Yeah,
I did. I put both of them in my top 25. Yeah, I have JMU at 21 and North Texas at 25.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there's our top 25. The other thing that we do just want to real quick do is this the playoff bracket based on our rankings?
Yes, on our rankings. Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay, so here's what our playoff bracket would look like, just based on our rankings for this week. And we did pick our way through. We had some minor disagreement on a few of these games. Notre Dame Ole Miss was kind of a pick 'em. You know, we went back and forth on that, the three of us. I actually think that Alabama Georgia game is really interesting. And I said Alabama, but like I don't feel like it would not shock me if Georgia kind of just, you know, that game was so close round 1 that it could absolutely flip outcomes round 2. It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I think a lot of those games on that side. Like I picked Ole Miss. Actually, I think Ole Miss would beat Notre Dame again, just with the offense we've seen, which is actually, you know, we should give the qualifier. This is just based on this week's rankings, as you can see from the top of the graphic there, because I actually think when we've seen Notre Dame play a good offense, they have struggled and barely won. There might be a chance that Notre Dame loses this week to Pitt, a game that we will be picking on Saturday morning.
It's in Pittsburgh. I wanted to go to the thing, but Colin said I wasn't allowed.
So if that happens, Notre Dame obviously won't be in this bracket. But again, I think if they do end up winning that, I think Ole Miss's offense could beat them. So I did pick Ole Miss. I still think Ole Miss would probably lose to Ohio State. But I think those games right there, when you're talking about the Alabama, Georgia, and then Alabama, Ohio State, because we have Ohio State beating Notre Dame again in that second round, I think you could flip a coin on it. I could easily see Alabama or Georgia beating Ohio State. Like, I don't think that's a set in stone. Ohio State would beat them no matter what. So I think any of those games you could, you know, for sure, the first time they play each other this way, second time, different outcome.
I think Ohio State still has a sixth gear they haven't hit yet this year. Not saying because that's been like, you know, willfully haven't hit it maybe, but I think there's another gear still for that team that they haven't even hit yet.
It's possible.
So the one other one was the Indiana A&M. And you said A&M, right? And I said Indiana.
There's a couple. Yeah. So I think Oregon would probably beat Texas, especially with the way Texas has been playing in Oregon. I actually think Oregon would beat Indiana if they were to play each other again. Now, this is based on them hopefully getting their players back. But again, I just don't know. I did say, you know, early in the show, and I think it's fair to say that Indiana controlled that game. Dan Lanning does seem to kind of bounce back once he gets a chance to play you and really kind of figure that stuff out. I think he could possibly beat Indiana because that won't be a home game for Indiana anymore. That'll be a neutral site field. And I know they went into Oregon, obviously, and beat them earlier this year, but I picked Oregon. On that side of the bracket, I would have had A&M versus Ohio State. Now, I would have picked Ohio State to be the national champion. I would not have had it in Indiana, whether it was Oregon on that side or A&M. I just think on that side of the bracket right now, I understand their defense has given up some points here and there throughout this season, but I still think A&M overall is the most complete team on that side of the bracket.
Indiana, as somebody who came into the season still, I'm not really a buyer on these non-traditional teams because they have one good year and all of a sudden I'm supposed to like respect the crap out of them. I'm just not a huge proponent of that. You kind of, got to do it again. I was a little skeptical on Indiana coming into this year. I've been totally, Hoosiered up or whatever on them. I just think that people are being really, like, people were waiting for them to slip up, and against Penn State has now given the people that were doubters of them an excuse to point the finger and say, see, this isn't the team that we thought it was. Just ignore. I'm not saying you're doing this, Matt, but it's like that just feels what it feels like to me, where all of a sudden now it's always like, well, A&M's better. A&M's been better all season. Like what? I can't get there. A&M has played this schedule that is laid out really nicely for them in terms of where teams have been situated at each particular stop along the way, and not been terribly convincing all the time throughout it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make the argument for both of those teams. I mean, coming into the year, I think I do respect what Indiana has been doing, especially with Kurt Cignetti, especially what they did last year. But realistically, if you look at their schedule, they've played a fairly soft schedule as well. The two tough teams they've had is a bad Penn State team this year, which again, they won on a incredible play that probably you don't repeat. And then the only other game was the Oregon game, which again, I understand they went into Oregon.
I mean, it's probably the second best win of the country this year, right?
Sure. I don't disagree with that, but I don't think it's that much better than what, like, the Aggies had an easy schedule as well. So they were a team that I did pick to possibly make the playoffs this year because of this schedule. And they've had an easy schedule. I mean, what would you say their best win is? Probably, is it LSU? Or is it Missouri? Like, and neither one of those teams are what we thought they were. Their best win's probably going to be the Texas win if they can win that at the end of the year at the 40 acres. They're going to Austin. If they win that game, I think that'll be their best win overall, which is still not as good as the Oregon win. But again, if you look at Indiana's schedule, it's not like this. They've gone on this massive run to beat all these incredible teams. They've kind of avoided all the big teams in the Big Ten outside of Oregon. So.
Yeah. And the Big Ten championship game, maybe we'll all feel a little bit differently depending on what happens there. We'll see.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's what we'll really see what them and Ohio State are really about.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it here for this week's show, guys. Apologies to Kirk Herbstreit. The playoff talk got a little bit long there, so we ran out of time. We'll get him rescheduled. Just make sure you're heading over to campus2canton.com and checking out everything that we have over there. We'll be back next week. Good night. Good luck.